Hello and welcome to my opportunity identification presentation surrounding one of the fundamental concepts that us as millennials are facing in this 21st century. Today, hopefully I'll be going through a few specific points that you guys will really find impacting and also give you a little insight as to a few ideologies I would like to implement in the upcoming months. Thank you very much. So just to give you a little rundown of how the presentation is going to go today, I'll introduce our key vision and direction, followed by a few key commercial opportunities surrounding this vision and direction, followed by two separate concepts, an evaluation of these two concepts, and followed by a selection upon the evaluation. So the general vision and direction of the idea or firm that I wish to create is to create a sustainable building practices implemented to reduce the consumption of non-renewable resources, minimize waste, and create healthy and positive working and living environments. This is very much a forward-thinking thought in the current landscape that we live in, as not too many people are putting too much weight upon the environments that we are creating for firstly living in and also working in. So after a bit of research through my first and second papers in this topic, there's been a few separate niches and gaps that have been outlined and become apparent. One of the most outstanding niches that I have come across is the amount of unused rooftop spaces within firstly New York City, but also in the greater world. That is both predominantly residential. This could also be in the conglomerate landscape as well, but mainly looking around, it is residential. These residential spaces could also be inclusive of sustainable community spaces. These are green gardens for people to be able to plant their own plants, also to be able to recycle goods and things like that. There is also the issue of building performance gaps. So currently when people are building buildings, they have a certain criteria in which they need to be able to live up to. This is getting lost through the design aspect of the building. So designers and architects are outlining that this is how much energy a building will use. However, come time that the building is actually using energy, this proportional number is just getting absolutely blown out of proportion, out the door. The introduction as well, there is a niche for vegetation, which also leads to CO2 reduction. So going back to the community gardens, there is an aesthetical value, but there is also a productive value of the reduction of the amount of cars and internal combustion engines that we as humans are using. And also to this is compost and water recycling programs. So there is a certain niche there to be able to implement people with food scraps at work, household food scraps. I grew up on a big farm in country New South Wales where we were able to recycle our food scraps through the chicken farm. That is a little bit harder in an urban environment. However, we can still try and apply this to where we're going currently. One of the biggest competitors, or it is someone that I would maybe like to mimic in my direction of thought, is Future Ecosystem. This is a firm working out of Switzerland who have specialized in the introduction and implementation of modular roofing systems, which include green spaces that allow stormwater runoff to be able to controlled and also harvested in a manner that is productive towards the building. I'll get into that a little further in the presentation. So the first concept that I have thought about implementing is an educational or consultancy firm. Now these guys would be obviously eco-friendly educational program implementers. So we would go around and try and introduce people and educate them in forward-thinking ideologies of how we may be able to be sustainable in the future. And as I previously stated, this includes modular green roofing structures and living wall systems. Now these living wall systems are perfectly sustainable as they allow the rain overflow to feed them whilst using the photosynthesis to make the building look aesthetically pleasing. These guys are just for the outside. There is also a consultancy firm opportunity there for interior planting solutions. So creating an interior eco environment that allows for people to be able to be productive at work, but also maybe residentially to be able to create a more homely environment for people to come home and feel happy about the space they live in. The second concept I would like to maybe implement is a construction firm. Now, these guys would be an owner-builder firm that would specialize in, firstly, solar panel installation. So we're staying on our sustainability drive here. Recycling facilities, this includes compost, plastic recycling, any unused garments, things like this. Stormwater infrastructure as well, which kind of ties into our renewable hydro energy, utilizing the runoff from stormwater to produce electricity. There are a few people using turbines at the moment in downpipes that create enough electricity to be able to run the lights that they're living in the rooms in. These guys would also be able to build vegetation boxes and soil plant boxes for people to be able to be self-sufficient within their building complex. Both it could be in a residential environment, or it could be working for a firm. If people were able to go and pick some asparagus or parsley to put on their lunch or something like that, it may be a great way for the firm to be a little more self-reliant. Alrighty, so after going through both of those two concepts, we came out with an evaluation table here. So firstly, as you can see, the pros far outweigh the cons for the consultancy firm. Now, some of the pros, which are my most biggest reason for creating a consultancy idea or firm, would be for raising awareness. People need this education for us to be able to sustain the lifestyle that we lead currently. We're not going to be able to do that from the farms and places like that for the current population growth that we are experiencing. This raising awareness moves into sustainable training, teaching people that it's okay to be able to grow farms on your rooftops, be able to harvest the sun in order to power our windows and lights and things. There is a much wider reach for the educational aspect. We will be able to sit down and create conventions where we'll be able to speak to 300 to 500 people at a time and fill in the knowledge that we have gained over the years and be able to let them take that knowledge and progress forward, take it to their buildings, take it to their residential addresses, take it to their firms, and be able to teach people as well how we may be able to be sustainable in the future. Another one of the largest pros about the educational consultancy firm is the education, the aesthetic value of making a beautiful living environment. So another couple of the cons associated with the consultancy firm, it's a difficult call to action. It's a little bit tough. It's hard to make people go out there and implement a sustainable practice in their residential house without giving them the educational background. Alrighty, so now for the owner-builder firm. One of the biggest pros for the owner-builder firm is definitely the profit margin. You're dealing with expensive infrastructure that needs expensive and high quality knowledge to be able to install it. So therefore, you're going to be able to upscale and charge people large amounts of money to be able to install these sustainable infrastructures. Some of the cons towards the owner-builder firm: you're going to need a large workforce. So with that large workforce comes high labor costs. You've got specialties. There are people in there who are going to only work in the solar panel industry. Therefore, you're not just a typical chippy, as we call it in Australia. You're not just constructing walls and building benches. You need to know the background information as how to get the most economical value out of solar panel installation, for example. The final con towards the building firm is the accessibility factor. We're trying to implement a firm that builds infrastructure into residential areas that are high off the ground. This infrastructure is heavy, large, and very expensive. After the pros and cons and evaluation table, I've made a selection to go towards an eco-friendly consultancy firm for three main reasons. These reasons include positive practices lead to positive outcomes. So people who are out there proclaiming that they're working hard towards a sustainable practice allows for people to progress forward. At the educational value created, so people are thriving off knowledge. People love to learn new things, especially when it comes towards sustainability. The final, and I believe the most weighted feature towards this eco-friendly consultancy firm is creating a sustainable future. We need to deal with this issue right now, and there needs to be firms in place that are willing and able to create this. Thank you very much for listening to my speech. I hope you guys got a whole bunch of knowledge from it, and also I will take any questions or queries anyone has. Thank you very much.